I am your teacher, and you are learning in my school. My aim is to bring you to completion, unhindered, free from compulsive behavior, unrestrained, without shame, free, flourishing, and happy, looking to God in things great and small. Your aim is to learn diligently, practice all these things. Why then don't you complete the work? If you have the right aim, and I have both the right aim and right preparation, what is missing? The work is quite feasible and is the only thing in our power. Let go of the past. We must only begin. Believe me, and you will see. The Daily Stoic entry for January 17th is titled Reboot the Real Work, and the entry that we have from Ryan Holiday is short and concise. Do you remember, in school or early in your life, being afraid to try something because you feared you might fail at it? Most teenagers choose to fool around rather than to exert themselves. Half-hearted, lazy effort gives them a ready-made excuse. It doesn't matter, I wasn't even trying. As we get older, failure is not so inconsequential anymore. What's at stake is not some arbitrary grade or intramural sports trophy, but the quality of your life and your ability to deal with the world around you. Don't let that intimidate you, though. You have the best teachers in the world, the wisest philosophers who ever lived. And not only are you capable, the professor is asking for something very simple. Just begin the work. The rest follows. This is very similar to the entry for the Daily Laws series, the episode 3 of the Daily Laws that is going on concurrent with this series on the channel. But I think that taken alone, so in that video, I quoted this entry from the Daily Stoic, but I think that when taken alone, there is something slightly different at hand just with this quote. And I think for that, I will turn to Mastery by Robert Greene, page 202 of the book. In a portion of the book over emotional pitfalls, Robert Greene decides to highlight complacency, where he says, "In childhood, the world seemed like an enchanted place. Everything that we encountered had an intensity to it and sparked feelings of wonder. Now, from our more mature viewpoint, we see this wonderment as naive, a quaint quality we have outgrown with our sophistication and vast experience of the real world. Such words as enchantment or wonder cause us to snicker. But imagine for an instant that the opposite is the case. The fact that life on its own, the fact that life began on its own so many billions of years ago, that a conscious species such as ours ever came about and evolved into our present form, that we have visited the moon and come to understand vital laws of physics, and so on. All of this should continually fill us with awe. Our skeptical, cynical attitudes can actually cut us off from so many interesting questions and from reality itself. After we pass through a rigorous apprenticeship and begin to flex our creative muscles, we cannot help but feel satisfaction in what we have learned and how far we have progressed. We naturally begin to take for granted certain ideas we have learned and developed. Slowly, we stop asking the same kinds of questions that plagued us earlier on. We already know the answers. We feel so superior. Unknown to ourselves, the mind slowly narrows and tightens as complacency creeps into the soul. And although we may have achieved public acclaim for our past work, we stifle our own creativity and never get it back. Fight this downhill tendency as much as you can by upholding the value of active wonder. Constantly remind yourself how little you truly know, and of how mysterious the world remains. Now, these are not the exact same things, what we get from the Daily Stoic and what we got from Mastery, but I think they are related. I think that the urge to feel complacent is maybe the cousin of the urge to say, well, I didn't try because it was just, or I failed because I didn't really try. I think that it is a willingness to accept defeat. There is a quote in the sort of the sort of the side of YouTube that is sort of dedicated to motivation and things like that. There's a quote that goes around that side of YouTube all the time. What we are afraid of is not that we will fail. What we are afraid of is truly that we are more powerful than we could ever know. Right? I don't necessarily think that's the truth. But I do think that we are afraid to put full effort, max effort into things because the possibility of failure will expose us as not worthy of those things toward which we are working. And I don't think that's the truth. Of course, we're not worthy of the things toward which we are working right now because we haven't put in the work. We haven't put in all of the work necessary to get those things. Mastery from Robert Greene is sort of assuming the success of the reader is already baked in. I don't know that he necessarily thought that his books would be as popular as they have become, that they would be widely read as motivational as much as they are a guide for having already had success, already having had mastered something. But the drive in us, all of us, I think, is something that is susceptible to failure as much as anything, as much as the fear of failure. And when you have complacency slapped on top of being afraid to fail, slapped on top of just plain laziness, slapped on top of, slapped on top of, slapped on top of, the inertia against starting something is massive. Throw into that the fear of embarrassment, public embarrassment. What will people think of me, right? I think that's one of the things that you have to sort of throw off to begin the race. It's like you see the warm ups, the sweatpants that track runners wear around. You have to take those sweatpants off to run the race. That's how you have to view other people's opinions of you. And laying myself on the line here, as I wish to do, as I hope to do as often as possible in this series. Look, one of my callings, I think, is writing. And I don't write anywhere near as much as I used to. And there's part of me that thinks that it has left me, that I am not as shiny as once I was, if ever I actually was. And that's sort of part of the painful downfall too, when you start wondering at whether or not your previous feelings of competency were incorrect. Was that a false narrative that I had been pumping into my own brain to get myself to keep going on something? But the fact is, it doesn't matter. Maybe I always sucked at writing, but it's what I want to do. So without that false confidence, what confidence would I have? And without confidence, I would never start writing anything else. And I think personally, something that I have to work on, I kind of don't care what anyone thinks. Like, I think I'm all right in that department. Like, I've always been of the mindset that you can care the world for someone, but the moment you start caring what that person thinks about you, you're giving that person too much power over you. Because if that person, your lover, thinks that you are silly and you should be more serious, if you really buy into that, then you'll lose your entire sense of humor, right? Things like that are things that have been, I have been lucky that those types of things have kind of always been self-evident to me. And I think we all have observations that we made from a very early age that we made probably in childhood that have served us well, and others that have served us poorly. For me, it's the confidence aspect of things that has served me poorly. I don't care what people think about me, but I also don't think I'll do very well at anything. So that is my own burden to bear. That is what I have. One of the things that I have to get over is I will let inertia build up on any given day. And lately, for example, what my weekdays consist of is getting up, going to work for 8.5 hours, getting off, walking between 6 and 10 miles, coming home, making 2 YouTube videos, and hoping I can get something else done in the meanwhile. Now that's a long day, right? That's a lot of productivity for myself. Normally I get a few words written, or I get a little bit of work on another video, something like that, something small in addition to those other things. But where I fail, and I fail hard, is on my weekends. I will sleep too much. Now, I get between 4 and 5.5 hours of sleep per day during the week, so it catches up to me, but I should be doing better there. And then, in addition to waking up too late, I will feel foggy. I will have brain fog, and I won't get to work on things immediately. Get to work on things immediately that would allow me to produce more. What if I could make 5 videos a day? And then I don't start on those videos, so it takes me later. So then on my Sunday, which is actually Friday, but my Sunday, heading into my work week again, what ends up happening is I stay up late trying to get these videos done, and I start the whole cycle all over again. So that's something I struggle with. So that was today's entry for the Daily Stoic. If you like or appreciate this sort of thing, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this with other philosophy lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not designed, philosophy, nonfiction books, movies, general culture stuff, those are the things I talk about on this channel. So consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around for more. And as always, I hope to see you for the next one.